Dear students, welcome back. The next topic is the ELC-OSC-S2B. This is the code. The title of the topic is the Colpitts oscillator. Colpitts is the name of the scientist. You can see the main the component, which is the tank circuit, LC tank circuit, and clearly one can see that here we have got splitted capacitor C1 and C2. The main one capacitor is split into two capacitors we for the feedback of the signal. The Colpitts oscillator design uses the two center tape capacitors. In series, they are connected in series. Remember one thing, in series with a parallel inductor to form its resonance tank circuit, producing the sinusoidal oscillations. In many ways, the Colpitts oscillator is the exact opposite to the Hartley oscillator we looked at in the previous tutorial. Just like the Hartley oscillator, the tuned tank circuit consists of an LC resonance subcircuit connected between the collector and the base of a single stage transistor amplifier, producing a sinusoidal output waveform. The basic configuration of the Colpitts oscillator resembles that of the Hartley oscillator, but the difference this time is that of the center taping of the tank subcircuit is now made at the junction of a capacitive voltage divider network instead of tapped autotransformer type inductor in the Hartley oscillator. So here you can see that these two capacitors are split together. C1 and C2 are in series. If you take the total capacitive, this is the capacitive reactance. Let me correct that one. So XC1 plus XC2 is equal to XC, which is obtained from as the voltage we take the two voltages. We see total voltage drop will be equal to VC1 plus VC2, but since the this is in series, so current is the same. IXC is equal to total, if we take the voltage across a single capacitor, then that is the total voltage is equal to the voltage drop across the C1 and voltage drop across the C2, which is IXC1, IXC2. II is cancelled out. We are left with the XC1 plus XC2. So C1, the two transistors C1 and C2 are placed. C1 and C2 transistors are placed with the. See, we have the these total capacitive reactance is the sum of these two. Now let's go to the basic Colpitts oscillator circuit. Here we have the again this is a series feedback, typical, this exactly the same, the amplifier, which is the self bias common emitter amplifier NPN transistor. This is the collector section, which is RFC is connected, VCC is being applied to the transistor biasing, self bias circuitry. RFC is allowed to release the DC to the collector, and also from here we have R1 and R2, which is the potential divider, providing the base current the base current to the transistor at the input. So base biasing is done with the R1 R2 potential divider circuits, and here we don't have the resistor at this emitter, but we can put that it should be there because to stabilize the Q point. So here we have the this is the series feedback tank circuit. Now this time we have replaced the splitted L with the splitted C. C2 voltage drop, which is taking across the C2, which is VC2, is fed back to the base right through the C3, so which is causing the boosting to the output signal, which may have been the oscillations which were fed through the at the output oscillators which were generating. This is the at the output obviously were dying. Now they are being supplemented or boosted with this feedback oscillations, and we get a very sustained and stable output sinusoidal oscillations from the circuit. Now the emitter rest details are given of the circuit. You can read it out. We will go to the, now the resonant frequency is given by 1 over 2 pi LC total capacitance. Now the total capacitance of C1 is the capacitance C1 and C2 are connected in series. So in, you know, in the capacitors total capacitance in series are connected, they are considered as the 1 over Ct is equal to 1 over C1 plus 1 over C2, or Ct is equal to C1 into C2, C1 plus divided by C1 plus C2. Again, the configuration of the transistor amplifier of a common emitter amplifier with the output signal is a 180-degree out of phase with regards to its input. Now the additional 180 phase shift required for the oscillation is achieved by the fact that two capacitors are connected together in series but in parallel with the inductive coil, resulting in overall phase shift of the circuit being 0 or 360 degree. So the amount of the feedback depends upon the values C1 and C2. We can see that the voltage across C1 is the same as the oscillator's output voltage V out, and that the voltage across C2 of the C2 is the oscillator feedback voltage that we have already feedback we have mentioned over there, and the voltage across C1 will be much greater than the C2. We always take the C2 voltage VC2 which is small portion. Feedback basic principle defines that the whatever the feedback signal you give, it should be a very tiny small portion of the output voltage or whatever the tank circuit you have got. Therefore the changing values of the capacitor C1 and C2, we can adjust the amount of the feedback voltage returned to the tank circuit. That means the feedback voltage should be a control voltage which can control not too much high, not too much low. If it is too much low, then the oscillations will not be produced, they will die quickly. But if the C2 is fed back very high, then it may produce the distortion in the output signal. The signal may get hit the saturation region and the signal is distorted. So we have to keep it in a very moderate at a balanced level. So however, the large amount of feedback may cause the output sine wave become distorted, while a small amount of the feedback may not allow the circuit to oscillate. So then the amount of the feedback developed by the Colpert oscillator is based on the capacitance ratios of the C1 and C2 and is what governs the excitation of the oscillators. The ratio is called the feedback fraction and is simply given as the feedback fraction is equal to C1 by C2 percent level of that particular the ratio. So Colpert oscillator, let's say take an example. We have got a resonant frequency and we've got the two capacitors 24 nanofarad and 40 nanofarad respectively connected in parallel, inductor of 10 millihenry to determine the oscillation frequency. So what we have, the resonant frequency, we just simply put the respective values, that is C1 and C2, which is C1 is 24 nano and C2 is 240 nano. So resultant is CT, we take 21.8 nanofarad, and the resonant frequency is then 1 over 2 pi LCT, which is now L is 0.01 Henry into 21.82 into 9 farad, and total frequency which will get 10.8 kilohertz. This is a numerical example of the Colpert oscillators, and the fraction ratio is C1 to C2 is 24 nanofarad to 40 nanofarad if you take is equal to 10%. And similarly, the Colpert oscillator circuit, we have this is the typical self bias. You can see now the Colpert oscillator circuit. Another way we can give these we have again this is a series feedback, but additional we have introduced some the capacitors over here. So but here this is C3 is obviously to block the DC going into it. Here the DC is being released to a circuit from here, which excites the oscillation in the LC tank. We have C1 C2 are two capacitors, and the feedback is being given from the C2 to the input of the base, and rest the L2 is the collector inductor, which controls the collector current and allows the feed the collector voltage or the VCC biasing voltage to the whole amplifier. This is self bias amplifier common emitter. RE is here we got now. RE is the emitter resistance which controls the stability of the Q point, and this is a potential divider circuit. So that is a typical another circuit for the Colpett oscillator. And similarly you can go through the Colpett oscillator as an op amp. So as an operational amplifier, again we put the similar way as we did. The same procedure is for the Colpett oscillator. The only difference is that we got two splitted capacitors. So C2 is the feedback which is being given provided at the input of the operational amplifier. Plus minus, we have got these two terminals at the input, one is at the output, is the V output. So we have the op amp amplifier with the oscillator circuit in this case as well. Below is the rest of the summary. You can read it out and you will find it pretty informative, and you will learn a lot from this topic. With this we reach to the end of the topic. See you next time inshallah with a new topic. Till then, goodbye and thank you.